Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Hope you're having a fabulous day, and may peace be upon you. Thank you for watching this interview with your host, Dr. Izdihar Jamil. And today I have Amber Howard, who is also a business strategist and an amazing mom. And today we're going to be talking about resilience in the areas of being a working mom, having your career, or having your business at the same time, having the space to have self-love in ourselves. So Amber, welcome.
Oh, thank you, Esther. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here with you today and to share my knowledge and my experience with your amazing audience. And just thank you for who you are for people, really. You're such a bright light and inspiration to so many.
Thank you so much, Amber. And one wonderful introduction to that. So Amber, tell the ladies here that are listening a little bit about you and a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, I kind of wear a number of different hats, but in the areas, so I've worked in corporations for decades. I'm a teacher. I teach business at some of the biggest universities in Canada. But specifically in this area of resilience, about 3 years ago, my own personal development started shifting more towards mindset, more towards understanding maybe some of the things that are less like tangible, and how do they impact our ability to be able to create the life we want, which is like my big goal for people, whether I'm doing consulting work with my clients or coaching, training them. My commitment is that people get to live a completely created life. And one of the things that I started to discover is you can give someone the best strategy in the world, you can have the best plan, but if people don't believe in themselves, if they don't have confidence, if they don't know themselves to be resilient, then none of the plans are going to make a difference, because at some point in time we sabotage ourselves. And so, this conversation around resilience is so important to me, because especially as working moms, as professionals, as business owners, entrepreneurs, life happens. There are always going to be circumstances. And so how do we maintain high levels of thrivability? How do we maintain the ability to take care of ourselves in the face of whatever life throws at us? Because there's always going to be things that are happening outside that seem like they're outside of our control.
Absolutely. So this word, resilience, what is it actually? When people talk about resilience, I'm like, what? It's like, to me, it's like a buzzword kind of thing that not necessarily I'm connecting to it. So put it really simply, like, what is resilience? If you have an example, like why is resilience something that we want to be aware of, and something, an ingredient that we want to incorporate in our life?
Such a great question. So resilience it's just what I said. It's the ability to maintain high levels of sorry about that.
That's okay.
It's the ability to maintain high levels of well-being and effectiveness in the face of any circumstance. So, for example, a couple of years ago, I don't know why my voice is doing that.
That's okay.
A couple of years ago, I was driving down one of the big highways in Canada, and I got rear-ended. Right? It was stop and go traffic, and the other driver didn't realize that it was stop and go traffic, and they kept going right into the back of my car. Like, that's something you can't control that, right? And for some people with lower levels of resilience, that would have upset them for weeks. They would have complained about it to a lot of people. They would have gone on about it. It would have become like the next thing that derailed whatever they were up to in life. Right. And because I've developed myself in this area, and I've been through a lot in life, and I have high levels of resilience, I was able to respond to that situation very quickly. And I was able to, once we made sure that everyone was okay, I was able to see the opportunity in it. Like, I'm probably going to get a new car out of this, right? Because I've got insurance. So it's like that ability to remain positive and see the opportunity in the circumstances, whatever they are. It's the resilience is about having confidence in yourself and knowing yourself as someone that regardless of what's happening, you're going to be able to take care of things. You're going to be able to take care of yourself. Resilience is about knowing how to prioritize your time and your energy. It's about knowing what the most important things are to you and knowing where to focus your energy when things don't go the way that you plan them to. Resilience is about creativity and your ability to problem solve from lots of different places versus getting stuck in black and white thinking. Resilience is about your ability to connect with other people and ask for help. And, you know, are you someone who reaches out to others for help in times of difficulty, or do you try to do everything on your own? Resilience is about building structures and plans with which to be able to deal with changes in life. And finally, resilience is really about being someone who experiments, who's willing to take risks, who's willing to try things that they've never tried before, and then create. Because you know, if you keep doing what you've done before, you're going to keep getting what you already have, right? So part of being resilient is being someone who's willing to take new actions, even if you've never taken them before, and you know, learning from the circumstances of your life.
That is a beautiful description of resilience. Like, the way I see resilience is kind of like, you know, you in the center and having this padding around you. Like, you know, the little padding, the little bubble, because things are going to happen. With that padding, it's just going to bounce it off, right? The things that don't matter are going to bounce it off to you, away from you. But the things that do matter, it's going to come, and, you know, you get to be, like Amber said, you get to be creative, you get to have fun, you get to have a new outlook, you get to have, you know, a new way of thinking on dealing with things that really matter. Because Amber, you're also like a coach, and you know, in the world that it is, especially in social media, what have you not, and the people you come across, it can be a really toxic and hurtful world. So you got to have a lot of resilience, because, you know, when we out there helping people, you know, and then we come home, if we don't have that padding, that resilience, it may have an impact to our personal life. So what are kind of your guidelines or your tips in kind of like cutting off that toxicity and build resilience around it, so that at home and when you shut down, you're still a healthy, happy, grounded version of yourself?
Well, first, I love the analogy of the bubble. I often talk about like putting a bubble around myself, and I'm like keeping the bubble clean from the inside. So I'm being responsible for my mindset. I'm being responsible for the things that I'm saying to myself that I'm saying, because like I really do believe, as do, you know, as do all of the people who've known great success in life, that what you say creates your world. What you think, words matter, thoughts become things. This is not like just a slogan. It's, you know, this is like proven time and time again by the world's most successful people. And by success, I don't mean based on other people's definitions of success, whatever you determine success to be for yourself, right? So I keep the bubble clean from the inside, but then I also keep it clean from the outside. I protect it. So I'm managing what's coming into my environment. What am I looking at? Am I watching a lot of news and things like that? Am I gossiping with people? Am I talking, you know, am I complaining about things to people? What are the kinds of conversations, the networks of conversations that I'm participating in? So I love that analogy of the bubble. I think it's a couple, you know, back to your question about the tips, I think part of it is like comparisons. Right? When you're an entrepreneur, when you're a business person, when you're out there in social media, you know, it's one thing to like have people that are a gap for you, that you kind of look at them and where they're at in their life, and you're like, wow, like SCR does these things, like she's on point when it comes to media, like she really knows, so I'm going to work with her because she's going to help me get to the next level when it comes to my desire to be a public speaker, or my desire to have exposure and have people know who I am and be out there in the world so that I can have a bigger impact. Like that's one thing, and that's healthy. I think we all need people, I'm a gap for people in my business. You're a gap for me in certain ways. So I think that's healthy to have people that are a gap for us.
Mm-hmm.
But it's another thing to be in a space of jealousy and comparison, looking at other people's lives and being like, oh, I'm not as good as them, or I don't have as much as they do. And it really, because it alters the kinds of questions that you ask. And ultimately, I'm a philosopher at heart, and in the inquiries that we're in matter. Yeah. So it's like, in the first instance, I'm inquiring into, what is Istihar doing differently than I am? How is she able to reach so many people? What could I maybe doing differently that I would have me reach more people or be getting in these magazines or whatever? And the other one, I'm looking at like, what's wrong with me? Why am I not good enough to have this kind of impact, right? So the kinds of questions you ask give the results that you get. So I think that's really important. Stick to your lane. If you see a lot of people, this was so great from one of my past mentors. She said, from the world of manifestation, the minute you start getting in that space of comparison, you ground yourself in gratitude, ground in gratitude, bless their success. Because if you're not grateful, God, the universe, whatever sourceful to you is not going to give you more than you already have if you're not grateful for what you've got. You bless their success because you wouldn't even see it if it wasn't coming for you. So success leaves signposts. And so when you see other people around you being successful, achieving the things that you want to achieve, you know that that's evidence that the universe, God, is telling you that that's coming for you. So I think that's another big part of it. And then I think the last thing I'd say is just fill your cup up first. As moms, and this is something it took me a very long time to learn, and I still don't, I'm not going to sit here and say I've got anything handled about it. But it's like, it's so easy to give all of your energy out to other people, to your kids, to your family, to your friends, to your clients, whatever, your coworkers. And then we say, I'll take care of me after, but it just doesn't work that way. And then you're serving from an empty vessel. So you really want to put in your self-care time first into your calendar. You will make sure everything else gets handled, because that's what it is to be a mom, is to take care of everyone. But you've got to start by taking care of yourself, because trust me, it doesn't work the other way.
Absolutely. And such an on point about, comparison and everything. Like, we only see a portion of their life, right? We don't know the truth or the reality of it. And I love what you're saying of, staying in comparison of your own lane. And it starts by grounding yourself, whether it's meditation, it's prayer, whatever it is that, speaks to you in terms when you're grounding, and gratitude, like, what you focus on expands, isn't it? When you focus on the things that you have, even a roof over your head, even the food that you have this morning, you had breakfast, just a little thing will start to kind of like increases the quality of your life. Now, Amber, you talk about self-love and taking care of yourself. As a mom, and I know many, many moms has experiences, the guilt trip, like, oh my God, I feel so guilty going out on my own, or, I've done everything, but then what's next? I can't rest. There's so many things to do. So how do we kind of like bypass this guilt trip? Because like the more we give, that's the saying, the more you give, the more you get back, but you can only give what you have, right? You can't run on an empty tank. It's going to be crash and burn. So what's your kind of lesson or tips or action step that women can take to overcome and bypass the mommy guilt trip?
Mommy guilt trip. Well, and it goes both ways, right? We guilt ourselves, and then our kids are also domination and manipulation kings and queens, right? And it's not personal. It's not like they're bad for doing that, but they're designed to get their needs met. And until they're able to get their needs met themselves, they rely on the adults in their life to do it. So they become very effective at getting you to do what they want, right? So it's not just like we guilt ourselves. We also, our children, the people we love, become very effective at guilting us. So what I would say about that is it goes back to the inquiry, the question, right? What do you want for your children? Because our children model our behavior. So would you want your sons and your daughters to grow up to be the kinds of people, and especially I'll say this to the moms out there, your daughters, right? Do you want your daughters to grow up to be the kind of woman who don't take care of themselves, who don't prioritize themselves first, who don't make sure that they're taken care of in relationship and that they have a voice in relationship and that they know that they can create what they want in life? Because if you're not going to teach them that, where are they going to learn it? And you teach them that not by what you say, you teach them that by what you do, and being congruent between what you say and what you do. Because this is, I think, the biggest place where parents fall down, in my opinion. And I did it time and time again. So I'm not sitting here as some hypocrite being like, I had to learn these lessons, and I still do with my kids, and they're 25, 24, and 15. It's like there must be an alignment between who you be, what you do, what you say. Like, you can't tell your kids, take care of yourself. And then they watch you working 80 hours a week, 90 hours a week, never taking rest, never going to the doctor, not eating properly, not exercising. So the first place I would say is, what do you want for your children? Because they're always watching.
Yes.
And that goes for everything, right? Whether it's relationships, like how you are with your spouse, how you are with your partner, they're watching that. They're going to replicate that in their relationship. So, and I think the answer to that question, knowing moms, is, well, we always want the best for our children. We want them to have a great life. And so it starts at home. It starts with us modeling that behavior for them. So that's what I would say. And then the actions will come from there, right?
Exactly. So it starts from the awareness, the intention, what we're creating. What is it? Basically, what is the legacy that we're leaving, isn't it, Amber? What is the legacy? What is the lesson? What is the wisdom we're leaving to our kids? Because kids are like, they're like a SpongeBob. They just pick things up. And then they do when they start to repeat things, doing this, doing that, exactly, and how you do it. So that's my husband there taking care of the laundry. Thank you, babe. So kind of coming back to resilience in your own personal life. Was there like a turning point of something happening that kind of give you like the ding, 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 warning signs that, hey, this is messing in my... It could be like, you were so affected by something that happened that it kind of made you felt weak and tired and exhausted. I know that, for example, for me, when I speak to certain types of people, they're like vampires. They suck on my energy, and I knew that that's the space, my resilience will crumble, that I needed to strengthen it. So was there a turning point, Amber, that giving you the ding 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 lesson? Hey, this is important.
I think it was gradual over time. It was, I officially started my personal development journey. And to me, when I say personal development, I mean the application of philosophy to the living of life. And I studied philosophy academically in university. I was a very philosophical person, but I wasn't taking these theories that I learned and how do I apply this to actually my day-to-day life? So I had a lot of this knowledge, and over time, I've been through quite a lot in my life, and a lot of really traumatic and difficult circumstances in my family and in my own personal life, choices that I made. And I remember it's probably about 2012, maybe 2013. I was driving home from work, and I was feeling really overwhelmed and stressed. And I was like, what is wrong with you? Why are you? Because I was looking at my life, and at the time there had been quite a lot of changes. I had left a really long relationship that wasn't working. I had moved out of a community in a neighborhood that was was very stressful, and it was very toxic. I had, I had a stable job, which was bringing some financial stability.
Yes.
My mom's mental well-being had stabilized a bit. So when I was looking at my life, I was like, man, you shouldn't be stressed. Look at everything that you used to deal with and where your life is now. Why are you still so stressed? And then I realized that, for up until that point in time, or, I had probably been running on adrenaline for most of my life because of the circumstances. And then that had dissipated. And then I was like, well, you're a single mom with 3 kids and a full-time job. And, probably you've got like lots of reasons to be stressed, but just realizing, just these moments, when I realized that, I started trying to save money, and every time I would save money, something would come up and I would have to spend the money, and then I would get frustrated and angry, and like realizing the importance of gratitude. There were just these shifts that happened. And then, I think the biggest thing that really kickstarted the journey was in 2016 when I did a personal development course, which, we've both participated in, called Landmark Worldwide, or the Landmark Forum. It gave me tools to see things about myself that I didn't know. And that, the biggest one of those was specifically that I was really living from a place of being unworthy. And that unworthiness was shaping my whole life. So I had always been resilient in that I was able to deal with a lot.
Yes.
But I wasn't creating my life. I was reacting and responding to things, whether it be my exes, my kids, my mom, other people's stuff. And 2016 was really, for me, the point in time at which I started saying no. Like, what does Amber want?
Mm-hmm.
And, for the moms out there, that whole piece you just said about being guilty, Istihar, it can be, most of us go our whole lives never asking that question, because we're taught that it's wrong to ask that question. It's selfish, that we should be for other people. And I'm out to cause a revolution for women, for human beings in general, that no, it's not selfish. It's in fact the most important inquiry you can ever ongoingly make in your life is, what do I want? Because imagine a world where everyone was living from that place, right? We don't create great lives by sacrificing what we want for the people around us. We create great lives, and everyone's lives gets elevated when we go out there and create a life that we love, and we then become an example for other people to do the same.
Absolutely. And I love what you're saying about, reacting, surviving mode versus creation. Some people think they haven't got the choices of anything, that you just, that's what I feel when you get really exhausted, Amber, because you're trying to react, dodging the balls all the time versus staying in and being grounded. This is how I want things to be. This is my creation. And so it is. So kind of that space of energy going in. And the fact that you mentioned about moms, right? I've got friends who are like been married 20, 30 years, have got kids, and then that's what they dedicate everything, everyone else first. Come 20, 30 years of marriage, they separated, and they're like, what have I done with my life? Yes, they've got great kids, they've got this and this, but they're running empty and low. And, because of what Amber was saying, serving others, right? We constantly want to serve others. So Amber, bringing to that point, as you being a single mom for years, what and how can you impart wisdom to other moms, whether single mom or, a non-single mom? What's the wisdom that you learn in taking, a baby, 3 kids, and creating their life?
So great. Before I answer that question, I just want to respond to what you said about the energy. That, to bring it back to resilience, this is the conversation for resilience, right? In the training I do with people, and the workshops that I lead, and the assessments that we do, you go through life and you have expectations about how things are going to go. Correct. It's part of how the subconscious mind, our brains don't want to spend a lot of time thinking, right? If you want to get to the science of it, right? Our brain is always trying to exert, reserve energy, because at any given moment, we don't have an unlimited supply of energy. So the brain runs brain patterns. So these operate like expectations. So you go through life, you have expectations for how things are going to go, and then you have the reality of what you're experiencing in a moment. And depending on the gap between your expectation and the reality of the experience will determine how disrupted your brain becomes. And that gap takes energy to close.
Yes.
This is so important, this is one of the things that I work with people around, is looking at where are they sucking, you talked about the people in your life who are sucking
the
your
vampires.
energy. Yeah, well, we have emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual energy. So we assess people's energy levels. Are you taking care of yourself physically? Are you, do you have routines spiritually that are filling your cup up? Like, emotionally, are you keeping your energy clean? Are you getting rid of people in your life who are draining your energy, right? So I just want to say that it is ultimately a conversation about energy, because we want to make sure that we have sufficient energy to deal with those disruptions, because they're going to happen. It's not a matter of whether they're going to happen or not, they're going to happen.
Right.
So, and when it comes to, what you said about wisdom, I don't know that there is a singular wisdom. I think this is one of the things that I'm out to do away with in life, is this idea that, there's one journey to success and happiness, or there's one yardstick or measurement for what makes a successful and happy life. To me, the wisdom is in, to be a little Socratic about it, giving up this idea that anything, and being willing to constantly be in the discovery of what is going to have what I want fulfilled on. What do I want for my children? What do I want for their lives? What do I want for their relationships? I can tell you, throughout my kids' lives, our relationship has gone through so many changes. At different ages and stages. We continually recreate our lives. We're doing that right now, and it's a little bumpy, I'm not gonna lie. Like, my daughter and I, who's one of she's my best friend, she's 24 years old, our relationship is going through a little bit of a struggle, because I've decided that what I want is to be in California for 3 months. And I've gotten into a new relationship, and my kids are used to having me on their own. And so now they're in Toronto and I'm here in the US, and now we're having to look at, well, how do we stay connected, and how do we, and they're dealing with all of their feelings about it. So it doesn't mean that we don't have a great relationship. Absolutely, we do have a great relationship. And right now, what that relationship looks like is we're dealing with this change. And thankfully, I invested and with them, in them having personal development tools so that we can have these conversations. And so I think keep being in the discovery of what is going to have your life be great. Keep being in the discovery, the inquiry of what it is that you want, because that is going to change. What I want today isn't the same thing that I'm going to want a day from now, a week from now, 5 years from now. And I think having a created life is that willingness to keep asking those questions and being willing to have the courage to speak your truth about the answer to the people in your life.
That's absolutely beautiful. Having the courage, having the playfulness, isn't it? We forgot how to play in our life. We're so dead on in certain things. We forgot how to play, how to have fun, how to create. I remember when we were kids, we used just to play and not care about anything. We know, things are legal, right? You only do things that are legal and stay away from the non-legal stuff. But we just had to play and play and play. And that was so fun. The freedom that I remembered in that mode, the freedom, the excitement, the laughter coming in. And coming back to wrapping things up, Amber, what would be kind of in terms of resilience in everyday life, bringing it to the heart, resilience from the heart in everyday life, what would be your biggest advice to anybody that's listening?
Take on a practice of calming.
Mm-hmm.
So in those moments, in those first moments when your brain becomes disrupted, and you've gone through some circumstance, it doesn't matter what it is. Your kids ask you for something that they need, and you've got you're focused on something else. The car breaks down, you lose your job. It really doesn't matter what it is. In those initial moments, your brain, your nervous system starts operating and releasing hormones that literally block your ability. You go into survival mode.
Yeah.
So the practice of, and you can't make any good decisions from that place. We just don't. Have you ever noticed, you get triggered or activated, and then you start doing things or saying things, and things get worse, right? So taking on a practice of calming, it could be like going for a walk, going outside, talking to someone, but the quickest way is to breathe. And I'm not talking about like breathing from your chest, like gut breathing, breathing from your stomach. 90 seconds of breathing, in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, out for 4 seconds, will shift your brain from survival back into relaxation mode. It will start your brain secreting new hormones, and then you can actually make good decisions about how and you'll have all of your tools available to you to know how to deal with whatever circumstance you're dealing with. So that would be my first, like, develop yourself to be someone who doesn't react. If you're driving, you can't stop while you're driving, but pull over. Like if you get really activated while driving, maybe you're on a call with someone, or you hear something, or your kids say something, pull over, stop the action, calm, and then from that place, look out at how you want to respond to the situation.
That's beautiful. And that's so practical too, the action that you've given, just a deep breathing, in for 4 seconds from the belly up, hold it for 4 seconds and breathe out for 4 seconds. Keep repeating that a few times, and you center yourself before the next step. Sometimes it's just too rah, 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 but you just need to like breathe. Got this? And what a wonderful way to kind of like tie up this topic on resilience. So Amber, before we leave, what's one fun thing that people don't know about you?
Oh, I love the water. And being here in California, I'm like literally 2 minutes away from the Pacific Ocean. And I love learning. Maybe that's the bigger thing, whether it's like getting my pilot's license, getting my motorcycle license. I love the people I get to meet when I'm in personal development courses and connecting and learning. I'm a lifelong student. I just love to learn. And, whether it's cooking, like I love cooking Indian food. I just love, so I love to learn new things and share what I've learned with others.
That is wonderful. So Amber, for those who want to reach out to you and connect with you, what's the best way that they can do that?
Yeah, they can, you can go to my website at www.amber, or you don't need the, sorry, God, you don't need the www anymore. Brain patterns, right? amberhowardinc.com. And you can book a 15-minute discovery call with me there, or send me an email. You can also check out, I have a podcast as well that you might enjoy the content, and whatwouldamberdo.com. So those are the best ways to find out more about me and connect with me.
amberhowardinc.com and Amber's podcast. What Would Amber Do is absolutely fabulous. I had the privilege of being interviewed by her, and we had such a fantastic time in our discussion.
I'm actually so excited because it's a year of the podcast next week, and your episode is going to be my year. So you can listen for Ista has our amazing conversation next week on my podcast.
Thank you so much. So amberhowardinc.com, and Amber is also on email. So there's a free discovery session, 15-minute session from there. So go and check her out. So Amber, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been such a pleasure having this conversation with you. And to all that is listening, thank you so much for listening. Until the next time, this is your host, Dr. Izbikar Jamil. Tell yourself, yes, I can. And so it is done. Thank you. Take care. May peace be upon you. Bye. Say bye, Amber.
Bye, everyone. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.